now call to order the July 6th combined council meeting. Presiding Honorable Mayor Robert Odekirk. We'll now have the call to prayer by Pastor Vincent Ritchie of First Christian Church.
St. Paul the Apostle said to his friend Timothy, I urge then, first of all, that requests, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for everyone, for kings and for all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. This is good and pleases God, our Savior, who wants all men to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. For there is one God and one mediator between God and man, the man Jesus Christ, whom gave himself as a ransom for all men, the testimony given in its proper time. And for this purpose I was appointed a herald and an apostle. I am telling the truth, I am not lying, and a teacher of the true faith to the Gentiles. I want all men everywhere to lift up holy hands in prayer without anger and disputing. Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you that you love us so much, and you've showered us with blessings so many times we don't appreciate it. We take them for granted. We need to realize that you are King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Your kingdom is a kingdom of love, of light, truth, and righteousness. Many of us know your kingdom is expanding all over the world, in China, Africa, India, and many other countries, but sad to say, it's diminishing in America. We need to rise up, Heavenly Father. Lord, my prayer is that we would repent and do your will. May all of us who disagree do it agreeably. And bless Joliet and Will County officials and give them the help to bless others as they govern us. And in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, we pray. And P.S., give the police a raise. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin. Here. Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman. Here. Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First on the agenda.
Krista, before we start, if I can, I'm looking for it. The issue with Tri-County auto theft, I know it was just addressed at the Public Service Committee. Is it correct that there was information that was not presented to that committee? It's a PowerPoint that needs to be shown. Does anyone know?
Yes, I had a PowerPoint.
Can you step forward, Dwayne, to the mics? Thank you.
Dwayne Joliet, I'm the Director of Administration for Tri-County Auto Theft. I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for tonight. Previous to that, we spoke to Public Safety. I gave them the highlights of my presentation, and it passed Public Safety. So if you don't have the time, I have about 4 speakers that would like to address the issue. I can probably narrow down the highlight points of mine. It's up to you, Mayor, what you decide.
Let me ask the council if they want to move forward on this tonight, or allow them to do a proper presentation at the committee level. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm ready to move forward.
Ready to move forward? Yeah, Mayor, his presentation was fine, and he did acknowledge that he had a PowerPoint, but he read us, like he said, the highlights. And it wasn't, at least for my decision, I can't speak for Jan or for Joe, it wasn't taken just on what Dwayne had to say. It was taken on whole. We had a number of different speakers.
Okay, that's fine, then. We'll just go with as scheduled.
First presentation this evening is an update on Riverwalk Homes.
Good evening, council and attendees. I am Nikita McCoy. I am one of the senior development managers at Holston, and I'm here to present to you an update on Riverwalk development. Would like to start about a couple of the key points that we're going to go over with you guys today. We're going to introduce ourselves. I am Nikita McCoy. I have Stephen Toira here, who's the other senior development manager, and Liz, say your last name? Prodek, who is over the Holston Human Capital Development nonprofit arm of the Holston Development Corporation. Today, we're going to talk about our history that we have had with the project in the city of Joliet thus far, our accomplishments, what is going on with the site redevelopment, who we are housing, an analysis, a quick analysis of the deal overview, our ask of City Joliet's participation, the relocation of existing residents, the future timeline, and to follow up with any questions if you may. If you can, thank you. I want to just thank Pauline for assisting us here with the slide presentation. Pauline, can you go to the next slide, which just basically introduces the project team, which I've done already. Accomplishments thus far. So as many of you may know or may not know, Holston was asked in 2010 to come aboard to do an analysis of the project. They brought an analysis aboard, and they brought an architect aboard that was Landon Bone Baker at the time, who put together several different plans and site plans of moving it forward. As time progressed, the city of Joliet asked Holston to also manage the site, to take it over, manage the site. And we would like for you to know that since our presence at the site, we have witnessed 97% occupancy over the last 5 years. We have stabilized the community. We also have brought a food pantry, which is now under construction, and we're building out that now. The site redevelopment plan going forward, according to the HUD agreement, reduces the site to about half. So now you currently have 356 units. Going forward, you will have 177 units. And we're aiming to separate that over 2 phases. Mrs. Pauline, if you could take the presentation to the maps. So what you see here is our current site plan with all 8 buildings, and the 9th building is letter E, which is the current management office, and now will be the new food pantry site. If you look on here, we're going to start in phase 1. Phase 1, we will work on site D and site C, and we are planning at the end of that construction to demolish site B. Site B will, during the rehabilitation of sites C and D, will also be the relocation site for those residents in C and D. If you move forward to the next slide. If you see toward the bottom, Mrs. Pauline, sites H, G, and F to the south will be the sites that are demolished in the phase 2, and that parcel will be vacated back to the city of Joliet. We will continue to rehab site, I believe that is A, yes, we will, and finish up the development. This we are planning over the next 5 years into 2025. Mrs. Pauline, if you could go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Yes, this slide, thank you.
Mayor, while we're waiting, I have a question.
Yes.
Why are we not demolishing the buildings that are closest to Route 30 on Cass Street? Those seem to be the oldest and they're wooden and they're not in very good shape.
Cass Street is the one that is.
Lincoln Highway, you said it's a Lincoln Highway on the map?
I think they are.
I think they are on the map.
Yes, so
Right.
we're demolishing those. Those are the ones that are further south.
In phase two, I'm asking why not phase one?
Because the project doesn't support the cost to demolish them all at once.
No, but I'm asking why those weren't first, why are they in phase two?
Because we need
instead of
those to
one?
continue operations, and now currently through operations, we are also, at the end of each audit year, we also repay the city of, the city of Joliet their, acquisition payment back. So we need those, buildings to remain in place so that we can continue to pay your fee back. And we show that in a demonstration in the slide going forward.
Okay, all right, I'll watch it, thank you.
So we have two graphs here. The graphs on the left shows the makeup of those 3 buildings that will remain. That's the 177 units and the bedrooms that will be housed in each one of those properties. We also are saying the household size and the income based on, because this is going to be a 100% Section 8 project, you still have to qualify per income to be able to be housed in that. And all tenants that are there now have the first right to these units. And for those tenants that are being moved, they will take their voucher with them. And we are committed to and are managing that process. So the Host and Human Capital Development will manage the process of removing all tenants who are asked to leave. And so we will work with them through the entire relocation process by giving them the vouchers, by making sure that they have housing. First priority is the city of Joliet, then it's Will County, and then elsewhere. Next slide, Ms. Pauline. The next 2 slides is basically are our projections. We're planning to submit an IDA, which is the Illinois Housing Development Authority, PPA, which is their preliminary public application for LIHTC. The LIHTC will allow us to generate equity and funds in order for us to do this redevelopment. So the first phase will be about 30 million, and the second phase will be about 23 million. We've already talked to IDA, and IDA is supporting this project. And so we're here today to ask for your continued support as well. If you want to go to the next 2 slides, we'll pass that in and have questions if anyone has them. The next slide, Ms. Pauline. I already talked about the relocation of existing residents, and that, you know, with the HUD process, we definitely will make sure that we're following all HUD guidelines in that relocation process. If you want to go to the next slide, Ms. Pauline. This is the timeline for the first phase. So we're planning to submit an IDA PPA, which we believe is coming out within the next month, for phase 1. Once that preliminary application is approved, we submit the full 9% LIHTC application. We plan to close that funding in 2022 and begin commencing construction. And we believe that we have a 12-month construction timeline, and we'll finish phase 1 in 2023. Once as we are wrapping up construction for phase 1, we're planning to submit in the next round of IDA for their PPA. And again, once that application is approved, we go for the 9% tax credits. Then we commence to closing, construction, and followed up in 2025 to complete that process. And then in that entire process, we're asking we're paying you back. We're paying you back every year for the acquisition fee that you pay for the property from HUD. So we're paying you through operations, and we are paying you through the development, deferred developer fee, the development fee that we obtain when we close each phase. And in that, we are totaling about $6 million that we will pay you back over the next 4 years. And then we're asking for another $4 million to be in the deal. And that $4 million is going to be paid through cash flow over the next phase of the project.
Could you repeat that? Yeah, I didn't quite follow you. You're asking for 4 million in the deal?
And soft funds going forward
4 million to who?
to the project.
From the city?
Yes.
Jim Yadani?
They're not asking for us to give them 4 million, they're asking for an extension of the payment of the loan back to an additional 3 to
Yes.
4 years. Currently, about $800 to $1 million they've been paying off on the loan, plus whatever's left over, Holstein and the city split. And so they're not asking us to give them any money, they're asking to spread the loan out for an additional 3 to 4 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Any questions?
Mayor, if I can, just briefly,
Yes.
to add to this, I know that we have applied for a grant for that $4 million in addition to that, just so you're aware of that. So again, we're continue to fight for that kind of money here to be able to make this housing project work going forward. So just wanted to, so we may not have to even get that. We may not even have to refinance if we
Okay.
get that money.
Awesome, thank you.
Mayor, just so I understand this. So phase 2 with those other buildings, G&H, will not be demolished until 2025, is that correct?
That's correct.
I have a problem with that, but.
So how can I mitigate that? Because we need, in order for for us to continue paying you how we've been paying you every year, we also need the reserves. So HUD is only going to give us the reserves to help with that project while the current property is still in operations. So we have the current structure as it is right now that has to remain intact so that we can use part of those reserve funds in order to make the deal work as well.
No, I understand all that. I just don't understand why you're taking down buildings that are younger than the buildings that are G&H. Those are much older buildings. And
I
don't know why those
believe
wouldn't be
also
first.
because those buildings have more units in them. And so we're trying to maintain the units, the buildings that have enough, the most units, because we have to make sure that the 177 remain on the site.
Has there been any rehab in those buildings in the last few years?
We haven't did any rehab, but we have done necessary renovations.
Like painting and things
Yes,
like
and maintenance.
that? I'd like to take a tour because I was in there a few years ago and I wasn't real happy with those buildings, so I'd like to see them again.
Yes,
Okay,
that is fine.
thank you.
Okay, we're good, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you, Ms. Pauline. Thank you so much.
Next is a presentation for the Tri-County Auto Theft.
My name is Dwayne Killian. I joined the Joliet Police Department in 1986. Excuse me. Mayor, City Council, thank you for letting me put this presentation on. I started with the Tri-County Auto Theft in 2008 as Deputy Director. I appointed Tri-County Director in 2016. I retired from the Joliet Police Department in 2017 with 30 years, 6 months, and 11 days. From 2019 to present, I appointed Director of Administration of Tri-County. What brings us here today is this letter that City Manager Caparelli sent to some of the policy board members. And there's several issues that I had with this letter. First of all, not all policy members are included in this document. So it created havoc when we started receiving phone calls wanting to know what was going on in Tri-County. Not only were the rest of the policy board not involved, but Director Grizzle or myself knew nothing about this letter. So we have the policy board calling us what's going on, and we didn't have an answer for them. And I don't think it looked very professional. Another thing with this letter is it's dated June 17th. Director Grizzle went on vacation July 1st, or correction, June 21st, the day this letter went out.
Dwayne, I think we're voting on whether to pull our officers out or not. Can you keep your comments specific to that, I guess to the value of Tri-County?
Okay.
I don't really want to debate what happened up to this. I don't think it's relevant tonight.
Okay.
I think the council needs the information about your unit to make a decision. I'm probably gonna ask the chief to make a decision what policy we're gonna take here.
Good enough.
All right, thank you.
Do you have to press into this one?
The forward button,
Pardon me?
just the forward button on the right.
Yeah, that's the one I'm pressing and. Now it changed. This is a list of participating agencies and that are on the policy board for Tri-County Auto Theft. It goes from Kankakee to Grundy to Will. Brief history of Tri-County. Illinois' 87th General Assembly established the Illinois Motor Vehicle Theft Prevention Council in 1991. Illinois Motor Vehicle Theft Prevention Act requires insurance companies to pay $1 into a special trust fund for each private passenger automobile insured in the state of Illinois. Joliet has been involved as a fiduciary since the inception. Approximately $6.5 million is collected annually and distributed by the council for the purpose of insurance verification and reducing motor vehicle theft. Tri-County reports quarterly and annually to the Policy Board and the Illinois Motor Vehicle Theft Prevention and Insurance Verification Council. During this meeting, Tri-County's current statistics are provided, along with highlights for some of their casework, operation, interdepartmental cooperative efforts, and so on. What Tri-County does, the list on the left tells you everything the unit does. It investigates any kind and all thefts in reference to motor vehicles. The picture on the right shows two of our agents giving a presentation to DuPage County Detectives Meeting, June 24, 2021, and educating other officers as to the new trends that are going on is one of the roles that we do. I'm pressing. This is a graph that shows the trends expected in 2020 for Will County. You can see from 2018 to 2019, the steep increase in thefts. The graph on the right shows auto thefts from 2010 to 2020, and you can see the increase there. This graph was provided by NICB, which is the National Insurance Crime Bureau. As for trends in auto theft, you can see it's not just specific to Chicago or outside communities. Joliet has its fair share. I think it was unique that the Delta Sigma Theta sorority that deals with Joliet area and South Suburban put out a tweet or put out a safety alert in reference to car hijackings. So it's not only something that happens in Chicago, it goes all surrounding areas. Social media post, I'll go through this real quick. Joliet Police thought it was so important that they put a post on their Facebook page and on their Twitter page, warning residents there's been a large increase in carjacking, vehicle burglaries, and stolen vehicles across Chicagoland area in recent weeks. And it also went on to state, suspects are often young males who approach victims demanding the vehicle keys at gunpoint. On April 21st, 2021, the FBI put out this threat assessment. It said the Federal Bureau of Investigation assesses with high confidence violent criminals and gang members are escalating their coordinated targeting of Midwestern suburban communities for carjacking, threatening violent encounters with the public. The FBI further assesses these same communities are being targeted for threat of burglaries of personal vehicles, which spur additional violence with residents and responding law enforcement officers. Just a quick recap. 2 years ago, I come in front of the public safety asking for a 4-year agreement for their commitment to serve with the Illinois Motor Vehicle Theft and Verification Council. we were granted that, and a resolution was passed and forwarded to, I'm trying, Mayor, forwarded to the council, and that council member was, I believe it's 49-18.
417-9.
And that was a resolution that permitted Tri-County auto theft in the city of Joliet.
Dwayne, if you're not talking to the microphone, they can't hear you at home. Thank
That committed the Tri-County auto theft, city of Joliet, to participate in auto theft for 4 years. And that is a resolution that passed with full council support. A little bit of details, grant details. Fiscal year 1, our fiscal year goes from July 1st of 2019 to June 30th, 2020. The first grant was $842,500. The unit investigated 336 reports, made 219 recoveries for a recovery amount of $3,645,470.51. We made 67 arrests. And I think what is unique, there was 5 individual officers, agents in the unit, and they accomplished what you see right there. Fiscal year details for 2002. The grant is from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Grant amount, $1,173,265. We added $25,000 to pay motor maintenance. In our first year, we didn't put that in our grant. We thought it was only fair that we pay motor maintenance for repairing our vehicles. That was added to the grant. The reports, we investigated 383 reports. We recovered 282 vehicles with a recovery amount of $5,632,354. We made 111 arrests. If you notice one thing, it says City of Joliet patrol officers. We were in talks with the previous mayor and the current mayor, past police chief, current police chief, in reference to the possibility of adding another person to Tri-County because the money was available. When I do the grants, it usually starts in April and May. So if that thought was out there, I figured I would put it in, and that salary is there. If Joliet ever got in better situations and they got the manpower that they needed, I think that that money was there and that could be added. Tri-County statistics field for first year and second year. This is a chart of case reports, recoveries, and arrests. And as you can see, everything is increasing from fiscal year 1 to fiscal year 2. Total recovery amounts in US dollars. You can see in fiscal year 1, there was approximately $3.5 million. And then we go to fiscal 2, it's over $5 million in recoveries. Total recoveries in US dollars from July 2019 to present, $9,277,824. Fiscal year 3, this is the grant agreement that's signed with the Illinois Motor Vehicle Theft and Insurance Verification Council and the City of Joliet. Chief Malik has signed it, and the Secretary of State, Jesse White, has also signed it. And that is our agreement. Fiscal year 3, which starts July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, grant amount, $1.6 million. This year we added $10,000 per officer added to cover overtime, thus sparing participating agencies. So not only do we recover, or the cities recover full salary, but I've also included $10,000 for overtime per agent. And as you can see, that second patrolman spot is still out there. In regards to Joliet specific statistics, I understand Joliet would like an exact number of auto theft cases invested by Tri-County. However, the request is complicated for several reasons. Tri-County is a multi-jurisdictional task force. The cases are not separated by municipalities. When Tri-County receives a report, it is assigned to any one of our agents. Keeping the previously stated points in mind, it is our assessment approximately 250 stolen motor vehicle cases have been sent from Joliet to Tri-County. Tri-County field supervisors then review each case for investigative leads. If a lead exists, the case is assigned to an agent. Remember, any and all agents can work on Joliet cases. The number does not include reports for vehicle theft of parts, carjacking, cargo thefts, and thefts. And when I say thefts, it could be a skidster, it could be a semi-trailer, it could be a four-wheeler. It's not considered an automobile, so it's in a different category. The county bait car and star chase program, Tri-County operates the only active bait car program in the state of Illinois. The bait car allows Tri-County agents to safely lock and disable a motor vehicle after a theft. The Tri-County operates the bait car program alongside one of only 2 active star chase cars in the state of Illinois. Since inhabiting the city-owned building, and I emphasize city-owned building, before Tri-County moved into this building, it was the City Joliet Water Department was there, and before that, it was used for the census. So up until we moved in there, city was paying for all expenses to that building. When we moved in, we paid for all the utilities. Tri-County paid for the garage windows to be replaced with glass black windows to improve the security of the building. Tri-County is responsible for the day-to-day maintenance of the building, like the snow, the bushes, the parking lot, maintenance, and etc. To date, the city of Joliet has paid for boiler repair, overhead garage door repair, plumbing issues, and extermination services. Multiple requests to enter a lease agreement with the city have gone unacknowledged. We are using grant funds. When I prepare the grant for the next calendar year, I need some kind of agreement so that when I go to the council and I'd say I need so much money for this, this, and this, I think I would stand a good chance to get it. But if I don't have some kind of agreement, why would they allow me to spend $50,000 on a building that we can be kicked out of the next day? That's why it's so important that we have. Even if that grant was agreement just for the length of the contract, at least I can tell them that, yeah, we're there for a good 2 years and they can determine what money would be appropriate and what money wouldn't. Some of your benefits Tri-County offers to the city of Joliet. Patrol. Tri-County can be called out 24/7. Let me just give you a little example. Tri-County Joliet patrol officer stops a stolen vehicle. There's 4 individuals inside of it. Tri-County, the way it works right now, that officer is going to have to at least call 1, maybe 2 other individuals in to help them process the individuals, get statements, do the arrest. If you call Tri-County, Tri-County comes out. You release those officers back to put them on the street where they belong. Tri-County does the investigation. They do the paperwork. They contact the state's attorney. They follow that case from start to finish. And it brings us to the second one, investigation. It relieves Joliet detectives from investigating auto theft related cases from start to finish. Not only does it help in patrol, but it helps in investigations. The detectives will not do not have to work auto theft cases. We will do them. Evidence technicians, another prime example. Right now, if the vehicle that was stolen in Joliet is recovered in Chicago, it's going to go to 1 of 3 pounds. Joliet would have to send an evidence tech out there, an hour out there, an hour to gather evidence, and an hour to get back. That's 3 hours for 1 vehicle. If you notify Tri-County of that vehicle, we will send an agent out there who is currently, all of our agents are evidence techs. So they'll gather the evidence, they'll track the evidence, and they'll have it prepared for court. Tri-County specializes in auto theft related matters and current auto theft trends. Everything in auto theft changes. They get better at what they do, so we have to get better at what we do. And not only do we get better, we share that information. A lot of the information that we have, your average patrolman doesn't know that. We'll put on speaking classes. We'll have any kind of like roll call meetings so that we can bring that information out and educate them to get them more prepared and give them more knowledge. All Tri-County agents work Joliet cases, not just the assigned Joliet personnel. Summary of benefits Tri-County offers the city of Joliet. Tri-County funding started July 1st, 2021, and going forward will pay 1 sergeant's salary, 100% reimbursement. 2 Joliet patrol officers' salary, 100% reimbursement. Administrative director salary, Overtime. Remember, we added $10,000 per agent for overtime. So the city of Joliet, if they had 3 people in there, 30,000, 2 people, 20,000, so on. Joliet Motor Maintenance, we had $25,000 for fiscal year 2, and it's added to fiscal year 3. And Vigilant Access. If the city wanted that program, and it's basically a license plate reader program, anytime there's a vehicle stolen, they can put that license plate in there, and it'll give you the location, time, where that last vehicle was seen. It costs us, because we are a smaller unit, it costs us a lot less. But if Joliet wanted it, $45,000. We added some of the Joliet detectives on that program, so the city of Joliet has access to Vigilant also. So total savings for fiscal year 3, $493,409. If you combine fiscal year 3 with fiscal year 4, $986,818. Tri-County's grant arrangement is fiscally beneficial to the city of Joliet when compared to other JPD outside agencies like CPAT, MANS, or the FBR. Nobody gives reimbursement at the 100% rate. Without Joliet, TCAT ceases to exist. As fiduciary of this grant, Joliet is the heart of Tri-County. If Joliet leaves Tri-County, everyone leaves Tri-County. Every citizen and victim suffers from the loss of Tri-County services. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I do. Chief Malik, I think this proposal was put together to bring additional officers back to patrol, because you are shorthanded. If you could just weigh in on this, that's really all I need to hear. Whether you think you need the people for patrol or whether you want to keep them in Tri-County.
Good evening. Given the fact that 2 of our officers, one a sergeant and one a patrol officer, are involved in this unit, which encompasses another 8 to 10 persons that are available for us to utilize if we should need. There are times when, as Dwayne said, we get a car, we're able to turn that over, it frees up our personnel. Our detectives, again, don't have to worry about investigating stolen cars, vehicular hijackings and such. It's not that we can't use more officers, we certainly can. But I think the resources that this unit encompasses, along with the agreement that has been signed, is paramount.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Just, Dwayne, if you could clarify something. Thank you. Am I correct in hearing what you were saying about, is there additional funding available if we gave a lease agreement for this task force to do some more repairs on that building at no cost to us?
Yes. The only thing that I would request, remember, I start working on that proposal. So I work on it in April and May. There is funds that would be available. It would depend on how much money that was requested.
Okay.
But the funds are there, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just got one question. I know at the end, Dwayne, you said something about if Joliet was to pull out, it wouldn't exist. Why would that be?
Because you have to remember that this grant is funded by the insurance industry. They had to find a place to put this money, and it goes to Illinois Motor Vehicle Theft and Insurance Verification Fund. There's a whole policy board down there. They set the rules, they do everything. And when they first started, they opened up for any kind of grants. Anybody in the state of Illinois could put in for it. We put in it along with 2 other units. Our unit and 2 other units, and I think 1 other city put in for the funds. Once they close that, and I'm gonna use the example like a charter, that is good for 4 years. They made a vote that they will not open it up for 4 years. So whoever was in, and whoever is out, is out.
So it couldn't be transferred?
It cannot be transferred because it's in the city of Joliet's name.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you for your time.
Next is the approval of the agenda.
Excuse me 1 second. I had other people that wanted to say anything.
Well, they can speak under citizens to be heard if it's, I don't know if it's necessary, but if you want to, we'll get to that part of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Next is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the following changes? Remove Council Memo 339-21, which is a resolution accepting a public utility easement from JMF Industries for the Essington and Jefferson Interceptor Sewer Project, and remove Council Memo 340-21, a resolution accepting a public utility easement and temporary construction easement from Stoneware, Illinois for the Essington and Jefferson Interceptor Sewer Project.
Mayor, can we just move 341-21 up since everyone's here for that one?
Sure. Well,
Because I have to give my report yet, and we can do, I mean, if we could just move it up on
we
the
have to do
agenda.
citizens be heard too, so.
Understood, but I mean,
Did you want that prior to the consent agenda, after citizens to be heard?
yes, I would like to do that. Just move it up, because all these folks are here, they've been here since 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, so
Krista, do we have a proclamation to be read?
No.
there's no proclamation.
Oh, okay.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the removal of Council Memo 339-21, 340-21, and then voting on Council Memo 341-21 prior to consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item? Now would be the appropriate time.
I'll be really brief. Jim Glasgow, State's Attorney. Ladies and gentlemen. I think Dwayne's PowerPoint really told it all. The real crux here is that since 1992, actually 91, Joliet has been the center point of the Tri-County auto theft. And it has been a phenomenal unit. And it's hard to prove what would happen if we didn't have it. But let's face it, the gangs and the other thieves go to the path of least resistance. We always have maximum resistance. In fact, Chris Regis headed this unit up. How many years, Chris?
About 5 or 6.
Yeah. And when he worked in the State's Attorney's office, he did a great job. And if you want to chat with Chris afterwards, he can tell you what a great unit it is. We have Officer Ayala from Joliet also. He's bilingual, which has turned out to be a real asset on the street. You also have funding for a third officer if you wish. And again, this funding for salaries runs over $1 million. And you've got all these other officers, as we had talked before, at least more than 50% of the theft cases are in Joliet. So you're getting the benefit of all these 8 other officers to come in and work in Joliet. It doesn't work in the reverse, obviously. But they're all dedicated to what they do. And auto theft is really high tech now. You know, you look at the president worrying about all these hacks and everything else. These auto thieves are versed in all of that. Counterfeit titles, counterfeit VIN numbers, you know, and again, you've already signed the agreement last month, given your word that you're on board. All these cities are relying on you. I'm relying on you. I've got an attorney that's funded in this. Jim Rowe's got an attorney funded. We're ready to go and keep Joliet safe. And Larry Hug raised a great point about insurance. And that if we get rid of this auto theft task force, the insurance companies will raise all our rates. That's how the industry works. So every citizen in Joliet will suffer if you vote to get rid of this unit. So it's done a great job. In 2003, they did a study as how it had done for the first 13 years. And they found that for every dollar they spent on the task force, they got back 3. That's a pretty good ratio. So again, I hope you can see your way to do the right thing on this. I think it's clear. Chief Malik said that it's not going to jeopardize safety in the city. Actually, it'll make it better. She's got more officers coming to her aid. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none?
My name is Alan Oder. I live at 311 North Ottawa, apartment 801, Joliet, Illinois. I'm concerned about not having enough police officers still hired and having a shortage, and how much they're working, and how much I've talked to them and how tired they are and overworked. And I think it'd be a problem for all of us, and even that we don't have them, and that the other ones that are there are so overworked, they're tired, they don't have time with their families, they sacrifice everything, and it's not fair to do it to them. They're already putting everything on the line. They're putting their life on the line. Every night, every day, they put on that uniform and that badge. They put their very life on the line. And we owe it to all our police officers to get the rest of these hired as soon as possible. So you can go back to a better quality work life, civilian life, you know, having them patrol the streets, that they could be well rested every day or every night, whatever shift they're working. And I cannot seek you, Mayor and City Council, to work with the Police and Fire Board to please get them hired. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Seeing none, next is council committee reports. First is CTIS committee.
Okay, the CTIS committee met in council chambers on June 23rd at 8:30 a.m. Councilwoman Gavin and other city staff were present. Dave is going to give us a summary of the meeting. Dave Brainer, excuse me.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll make this brief. CTIS met and we covered two major items. The first was three, what I'll call major projects that are going to be necessary in the very near future. First is we have a large storage array, which holds about a half a petabyte, which means an awful lot of disk space. So that's 400 to 500 terabytes. And what that is for primarily is for all our video in the city. So all of the video that's happening in this council chamber, so across the street at the PD, and Gateway Center, et cetera, all flows into this building, and that's where we retrieve that data. The array that we're on right now is about 6, going on 7 years old, and it's at end of life. We're gonna need a new one. Cost of a new one is around $400K, so it's an expensive piece of equipment. The other piece that we're gonna need down the road is gonna be a Wi-Fi refresh. So we have Wi-Fi in all of our buildings. It's all ubiquitous. In other words, you can go from building to building and use the same Wi-Fi network. A lot of that, the Wi-Fi stuff is aged. Right there is an access point. A lot of them are out of date and coming up end of life. To refresh that is about $80K. The last is in this building, the security system we're using here is about going somewhere around 15 years old now. It is at end of life as well. If that system were to go down, we would lose all physical security here. We need to weave that into our Genetech platform, and that would run around $125K. The reason why I brought these up is because I know you guys were talking about that rescue plan and whatnot, and whether it's in that or whether it's in next year's capital budget, it just needs to be on your guys' radar. I usually don't bring these things to you unless they're important, and this one is. The other major piece that we covered was getting a demo of the fleet software. When we implemented the asset management system for the Public Works Department, it also came with a fleet module. So today, it's very difficult for us to understand and track where all our fleet assets are, where the PD vehicles or whatnot. It's all tracked in separate spreadsheets and whatnot. This project brings it all into one database, so we can not only track the assets, but we can also do corresponding work orders with it. MMD is in the loop on this, and it's a much needed system, so we did a demo on that as well. So that's kind of the update that we did at CTIS. Any questions? Great, thank you guys.
Thank you, Dave. All right. That's our report.
Thank you.
Public Safety Committee report.
Well, Public Safety met in the council chambers here at 5:30. Councilman Hugg, Councilman Clement, and myself were on the committee. Also in attendance were Chief Malik and Deputy Chief Carlos Matlock, and some staff members amongst the sheriffs of Grundy and Kankakee County, State's Attorney for Kankakee County and Will County, several police officers, and we listened to their presentation, which you just had now. And we listened to Chief Malik, but she had the final word. And we discussed it amongst ourselves, and we felt since that we had given our word 2.5 years ago, and we signed off on it, and I was a voting member as well. We have to keep our word, because who's gonna come to us if we don't keep our word? As Councilman Hugg said at the meeting, he said, you know, our word is our word, and it's as good as a handshake. And if you give your word and you renege on it, then who wants to do business with you? So that was one of the reasons why we moved to have this go to the council. Another reason was the chief of police decided that, or discussed that it would help her. It would be nice to have one police officer come back. It's a compromise, but in the end, she does get help with the other Tri-County being there with several, 9, I think they said 9 officers. And the other reason was the grant money. That's a building that's owned by the city of Joliet. It does need some repairs. So if we can get some grant money to fix up that building and it wouldn't cost taxpayers or us any more money, that would also be a plus. So the presentation, we didn't see the PowerPoint, but basically it was all talking and questions and answers, and several of the sheriffs and the county state's attorneys did get up and speak. So with that, we made a motion. A motion was made to send it to the city council, full council tonight, because it was on the agenda, for approval to stay in, and it was a unanimous vote. Anything to add, Larry or Joe?
You got it all.
Okay, that concludes our report.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
Public Service Committee met today at 4:30 here in council chambers. On the committee in attendance was Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Morris, and myself. Also in attendance was Director of Public Works, Greg Ruddy, and Director of Public Utilities, Allison Swisher. We had 4 contract items, all were public utilities. We vetted all 4 to do with water mains and a couple of vehicle purchases for the water department out of their own enterprise fund. We vetted all 4, and they were unanimously approved for recommendation to this full council for approval. Under change orders, pay estimates, and final payments, we had 3 items. Again, we vetted all 3. I think one thing I will mention for those watching is we're paying off the rest for the Mirage subdivision. May you remember when we all got involved?
Yes.
Did you hear how well it worked?
Yes.
It worked very well, bringing water across County Line Road. So we paid the final payment of $62,360.35 to P.T. Farrell for having done that work there. It did work. It did shut down the road, but it did not flood the homes. So we have a couple more things that Greg and his staff are going to work on with that subdivision, as he does with all subdivisions. We looked at all 3 items. We vetted them, and again, a unanimous vote to send it to the full council with a recommendation on those to be approved. The 2 items under ordinance and resolutions, the 2 resolutions were removed as they were removed from tonight's meeting. They were removed from our agenda to be brought back later, so no discussion on that. Now, we did have a presentation for the deteriorated road resurfacing program. Greg, where can they get that list of the streets that are going to be? They've got the finalized list of streets to be some 80-some streets, I think it was, if I remember.
That is an item that should be on council for approval later this evening.
Right, and then we are going to post it on the website?
Yeah, we'll put those on the Public Works website, yes. And we can get it on the city's Facebook page as well, so we can blast that out.
And what was the total, about 80?
48 streets.
48, I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah. About a total of 2.34 million.
Right. So we looked at the list and we obviously recommended for approval. And that will be on tonight's agenda, as the other items will be. Then Greg did give a presentation on where we really should be for the size of our city, industry standard on resurfacing and street repairs each year, what percentage of the streets. I think, Greg, I know you and I discussed it. Why don't we wait till the next city council meeting? Because we've had quite a few different presentations. Right. That would be a more of an impromptu presentation. And you can give it to us at our next city council meeting?
Sure, absolutely.
And it was interesting to hear where we need, what goal we need to set. And where we should be as the 3rd or 4th largest, depending who you talk to, city in the state. And I think that I covered everything. Terry, Betty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Covered it all there.
Well, all the items are now on, except for those two that were removed, and recommended for approval. So, Mayor, that would be my committee report.
Thank you.
So no other reports. So moving to Council Memo 341-21, it's a resolution approving the withdrawal of the Joliet Police Department from the Tri-County Auto Theft Task Force Intergovernmental Agreement.
Can you read the motion again? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so it's a resolution approving the withdrawal of the Joliet Police Department from the Tri-County Auto Theft Task Force Intergovernmental Agreement.
So there's no withdrawal, we want to approve it, I believe.
No, you want to,
So
We want to get rid of this one, and then do we make another motion
you have to
to
make an
amend
affirmative
it?
motion
We have
to do
to
that, yeah.
amend it.
should make a motion to deny the resolution unless,
So moved.
Second.
it's been motioned and seconded to deny a resolution approving the withdrawal of the Joliet Police Department from the Tri-County Auto Theft Task Force Intergovernmental Agreement, which is Council Memo 341-21. Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Motion carried. So the Auto Theft Task Force will stay intact.
there are a number of elected officials who came tonight, so I want to thank you for coming out this afternoon and this evening. Thank you.
Moving back under consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on June 4th, 2021, and the minutes of the council meeting held on June 15th, 2021 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 323-21, position vacancies. It's recommended the city manager be authorized to fill 5 police patrol officer positions, 1 clerk typist position in the finance department, and 1 part-time custodian position in community development department, and any subsequent vacancies which may occur. Council Memo 324-21, regular payroll for April 23rd through May 6th, 2021, $3,451,018.88. Council Memo 325-21, regular payroll for May 7th through May 20th, 21, $3,484,864.78. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Council Memo 326-21, 2021 deteriorated roadway resurfacing program. It's recommended the 2021 program be approved. Council Memo 327-21, award of contract for the Boulder Avenue, Fairview Avenue Water Main Improvement Project 2021 to Austin Tyler Construction in the amount of $353,353. Council Memo 328-21, professional services agreement for the lead water service line replacement Phase 3 project to Baxter and Woodman in the amount of $40,000. Council Memo 329-21, purchase of a backhoe loader for the Public Utilities Department from Altofer Industries in the amount of $127,920. Council Memo 330-21, purchase of a combination sewer cleaner back truck for the Public Utilities Department to Standard Equipment in the amount of $452,753. Council Memo 331-21, change order number 1 in the amount of $1,249.80, and payment number 2 and final for the Mirage Subdivision County Line Road Drainage Improvements 2020 to PT Farrell Construction Company in the amount of $62,360.35. Council Memo 332-21, change order number 5 for the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant Phosphorus Removal Project to Williams Brothers Construction in the amount of $106,204.73. It's recommended Council Memos 327-21 through 332-21 be approved. Is there a motion to approve said consent agenda items?
So moved.
Krista, before you vote, I had a question about 321. The position vacancies, we're gonna approve 5 police patrol positions. I know the next academy is not until August. Is that what we were allowed, per the academy, or was there an application to put more in?
I believe, Mayor, that's what we had available right now. We're going to ask for another 10 that were authorized. The vacancies are funded, but we don't have them right now. So we're going through the process as rapidly as we can to be able to hire folks and have them ready to go to the academies. We'd also like to prepare ourselves and situate ourselves so that if somebody does drop out of an academy, we may have somebody that's been already through the process, our process, and might be able to fill another vacancy from another jurisdiction if at all possible.
Hey, Chief, I know the academy shut down during COVID like everything else. Are they back up and fully running, and how often are there gonna be academy classes available for us to get people hired?
And Mike hasn't been working tonight.
Sorry, I make you walk up.
We do have 10 spots held at the Academy of PTI, September. So about the time that the 8 that are down there now come back, the next class will be ready to go, provided we have the availability to send those officers. We're also looking at going through the list, those that are already sworn. So those will be likely out of this 5 if they're approved tonight, and then we'll start building for the academy class.
Good, thank you.
So it's motioned and seconded to approve all consent agenda items. Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Moving on, under licenses and permit applications. First is Council Memo 334-21, issuance of a Class C liquor license at 3000 Maple Road, Lenny's Liquor, Route 6, and Gauger LLC.
Mayor, City Council. Council Number 334-21, a public hearing was held on June 3rd, 2021 for a request of a Class C license. The applicant is Leonard McHenry, Lenny's Liquor, Route 6 and Gauger LLC, location 3000 Maple Road. No person appeared in opposition. There are no outstanding monies owed to the city. The police and fire have no issues. The building department will have to do a final inspection after construction is complete. Based on the facts of the hearing, Liquor Commission is recommending approval.
Question?
Next.
Yes.
So this is a service station?
Gas station, correct.
And the Class C is one of the...
Yes, it's going to be enough fuel so that it would be under the Class C, yes, because they'll serve enough diesel fuel as well, so it'd be a Class C.
Chris, you want to answer that?
The developer built a standalone building that the Class C license will be in, so it has no relation to the fuel sales at all. And Class C is package only, so it'll be selling package from a different building on the site there. And there are several of these in town. That's all the truck stops have them by 53 and Laraway and all those. That's what this is.
Thank you.
Next is Council Member 335-21. A public hearing was held on June 3rd, 2021 for a request for new Class B license. The applicant is Vasca Ventures, DBA Black Eyed Susan. Location is 2200 Jefferson Street. No persons appeared, no opposition. There are no outstanding monies owed to the city. Police and fire have no issues. The building department will have to do an inspection after construction is complete. Based on the facts of the hearing, Liquor Commissioner is recommending approval. Last is Council Member 336-21, and we're tabling that until July 20th. Any other questions?
Is it being tabled because of the phone calls that were going on today?
I was told to table it, so we're tabling it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
July 20th, you said?
Yes.
So is there a motion to approve Council Memo 334-21, issuance of a Class C liquor license at 3000 Maple Road, Lenny's Liquor, Route 6, and Gauger LLC?
Quick question, Chris. So to be clear, this is under the old ordinance that all gas stations could get if they had provided a separate building.
That is correct.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Next is Council Memo 335-21, issuance of a Class B liquor license at 2200 West Jefferson Street, Black Eyed Susan. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 336-21, issuance of a Class C liquor license at 1308 West Jefferson Street, Angie's Liquors. It's recommended this be tabled to the July 20th, 21 council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 336-21 is tabled to the July 20th meeting. Under resolutions, Council Memo 338-21, a resolution authorizing the release of executive session minutes. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
In motion and seconded to approve, Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council memos 339-21 and 340-21 were previously removed from the agenda. Council memo 341-21 was voted on previously. So next is Council memo 342-21, a resolution authorizing the execution of a First Amendment to the exchange agreement between the City of Joliet and BNSF Railway. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Mayor, can we have an explanation
Yeah.
on that one, please?
Sure.
Explanation on 340, or 342-21. The BNS Railroad between the city.
Yeah, no, well, go ahead if you want.
This is by where they're
Right.
building the new bus station, and there's the rail line over there. And if you look at the plats, it looks like a jigsaw puzzle because everybody's owning different parcels at one time or another. We have an exchange agreement with the BN where we are switching some parcels around, but we missed our closing deadline, so all we're doing is extending the closing deadline with this amendment. That's it.
Thank you, because, you know, folks out there don't know, and I wanted to let them know what we're doing. Thank you.
Sure.
There was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It's in motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 342-21, a resolution authorizing the execution of a First Amendment to the exchange agreement between the City of Joliet and BNSF Railway. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
Yes, I'd like to just briefly say that I am in the process of retaining a state lobbyist so that we can continue to compete for funding on different levels and that the City of Joliet's represented. The person that I'm contemplating retaining under a services agreement was a former deputy governor for Governor Pritzker. So I believe that that would help us ensure that the City of Joliet's projects and ideas and thoughts get in front of the right folks. It's what other municipalities do, so I'm going to go ahead and execute that. We've had great success with our lobbyists in Washington, D.C., and I anticipate having similar success here.
Next is new business not for final action or recommendation.
Joe? Betty? Caesar? Larry?
Nothing.
Well, I do have one thing, and it was reported to me. I know we talked about this in executive session last week, but we've reached a temporary labor agreement with FOP. They're gonna be taking that to their union. Both are, well, the FOP union, both fire unions and 440 have been working without a contract for well over a year throughout COVID. So compliments to you, Mr. City Manager, for tackling that. I know we have a few more to get done, but that's a nice step forward, especially for someone who's been in the job about 6 months, so.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a pleasure to work with the various stakeholders. Still got a lot of work to go ahead of us, but I think once we get the first one done, I think things will go hopefully a little bit smoother going forward.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
Good evening. My name is Douglas Wren, and I live in the Upper Bluff neighborhood with my wife and newborn baby girl. Tonight I stand before all of you as a sad man, a concerned man, and an angry man. I'm sad because what attracted me to Joliet 20 years ago after graduating college is the diverse population, the great transportation, 2 metro lines, expressways, and such a rich history here in Joliet, and the relatively low crime rate. That seems to be going away. Joliet had so much potential, and I want to be part of it. Potential was a horrible thing to waste. I'm concerned because on June 24th, my wife called me crying hysterically. Thoughts raced through my head that something had happened to Sophia, our new baby girl. Once she calmed down and informed me that she and Sophia were safe, but there had just been a drive-by shooting at the corner of Nicholson and Western Avenue. A drive-by shooting at the corner of Nicholson and Western Avenue. This does not happen in this neighborhood. It should not, and we will not stand for it. Do you know what it's like to get a call from your loved one, my wife, and there's nothing you can do at that moment? It's horrible, and I hope none of you ever experience that. As I settled down my mind and confirmed that my family were safe, my concern grew to my neighbors. This corner has 3 homes where kids could easily have been outside in the crossfire at that time in the afternoon. This has not happened in our neighborhood. I am angry because this is not the first drive-by shooting in our neighborhood. The first one that I remember just happened 4 days earlier on June 20th at 2 a.m., which was between Saturday and Sunday morning, at the corners of Western and 30. I am angry that my wife, who gave up so much to come to the U.S. from Brazil when we got married, is now scared to leave home, to be home alone, and to walk around this beautiful neighborhood. When I drove her around the Upper Bluff and Cathedral neighborhood, she just fell in love with the area. We were lucky enough to purchase a house on Western Avenue soon after, but unfortunately that love affair with the neighborhood is shrinking, and she no longer wants to be there. Last Friday, I sent my wife and Sophia down to visit my parents down in Florida to hopefully get some relaxation and to enjoy the last few weeks of her maternity leave. Her birthday is July 9th. Sophia turns 4 months on July 9th as well. I'm going to miss both those days. I am angry. Yet, after all of this, I am hopeful, hearing from neighbors, some of them who are here tonight, that they're just as concerned as I am. As a board member of CAPA, I invite you, the mayor, the council, and Chief Mallet to our next CAPA board meeting, which is July 12th at 6:30 p.m. There, I hope we can discuss this further with the neighborhood and to discuss how we can protect our neighborhood, protect ourselves and our families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, my name is Dan Kennison. I live at 306 Nicholson Street in Joliet. Thank you very much for letting us come here to speak tonight. I'm talking on the same subject. His wife called me second, crying in the basement. And the problem is I've lived in that same house for 30 years. In 30 years, this is the first time I've ever come to the City Council. Never asked you for anything in 30 years. I had a shootout in front of my house, not the ones he's talking about, right in front of my house. It lasted 1 minute and 15 seconds. We got it on Ring. The next door neighbor has it. Can you imagine what 1 minute of gunfire back and forth on Nicholson Street sounds like? How you feel? Buell and Nicholson Street, constantly gunfire. Western and Nicholson Street, gunfire. Oneida, gunfire. This is happening 3 or 4 times a month. I want to tell you that every time we call the police, they're there. They're there quickly, and we got a mass number of policemen. We just had an incident the other night, 3 o'clock in the morning. We got it on ring, 5 police officers there. I had to call the police about 2 weeks ago because I had somebody laying in my front yard when I got home. It was a drug guy. He's out of it. Called the police, called an ambulance. They came, they took him away. It's ridiculous, guys. 30 years ago, we had a bunch of old people living in Kappa, and the neighborhood wasn't doing very well. That's when I moved there. And then it got better. This is before Harrah's. This is before Hollywood Casino. This is before we had all this money that we spent all over the place. We had people that came in, and year after year, it got better and better and better. Young families with kids. It was unbelievable. We went from an average age of my neighbors of 75 to 80 down to young families with kids. And the houses were in awesome shape. The neighborhood's in awesome shape. We got music in the park. We got people out walking their dogs. We got kids in the neighborhood again. And in 2 years, it's been about 2 years since this has really changed. About 2 years. So whatever's happened in the last 2 years to create whatever's going on in our neighborhood has got to change. You got to go back and figure out what you did 2 years ago. Because whatever it is, I'm afraid to go outside at night. I don't want to go out. I run the neighborhood all the time. I don't want to have to carry, guys. I have a concealed carry license. Do I have to carry all the time? Come on. I have a few suggestions that maybe we can do, and I'm just asking for your help. Please, park a squad car in my driveway, in any of our neighbors' driveways. If you're not using the squad, if it's broken, just park it there. There's a drug deal that goes down in front of my house almost every night. It's down 1 o'clock, 3 in the morning. You'll see a car pull up. We have a nice big circular drive, so there's plenty of room for the cars to do their drug deals. And another car will pull up. If I had a squad car in my driveway, maybe they'll go somewhere else. So I would invite you to park any operable or inoperable squad car anywhere in our neighborhood whenever you have a free vehicle. I would also ask you to do some kind of an ordinance similar to a snow ordinance where nobody can park on the street from 7 p.m. to 6 in the morning. That way, when a policeman goes down Western, he can just look down the streets. And if there's a car in the street, they don't belong there. People should put their cars in their driveways. And if there's somebody out in the street, then then a policeman should go and see what they're up to. The other thing, just one last thing. $122,000, I think, for a police officer, plus fringe benefits, $160,000. I would ask you to do a one-time payment of $40,000 and buy 400 homes in that area a Ring camera. Because the first thing every policeman ever says to us is, does anybody have anything on Ring? It's $3 a month, 60 days past video. It costs 40 grand and then $3 a month per house. You could put 400 houses and have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week cameras on every house in that area.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I don't mean to get animated. I appreciate you guys. We love our neighbors and we love our kids. We just need your help. All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Thank you for having me. My name is Dr. J.D. Wright. I'm a retired physician. I live with my wonderful wife, Cynthia, at 314 Nicholson. So we are neighbors with Dan Kennison. And relative to us, he is a newcomer. We have been there for 40 years. We moved there in 1981. We too have noticed the sudden and really deplorable changes in the neighborhood. The gunfire is a major problem. The other day, with all the not gunfire, but all the blockbusters and other explosions with this 4th of July celebration, I wondered how much of that was actual gunfire rather than rather than firecrackers or other type of incendiary devices. But like Dan said, this is a major change that has occurred in our neighborhood, and sooner or later somebody's going to get hit, a child, a pregnant woman, me, someone else could be killed by gunfire like this. And it's not only happening in Joliet, we know it's happening in other places too, as gangs and drug dealers start to ply their trade and advance to other areas. So I think some of the items that Dan Kennison brought up are good things to think about and could be done without too much trouble. And it wouldn't solve the problem entirely, but I think it would help drive the drug dealers to a much farther location. So thank you very much for listening to me and to our problems, and we hope we are able to come to some kind of resolution or at least improve the situation and avoid any tragedies. Thank you.
Thank you.
JD, is this your phone? JD. I am David Glonick. I live at 309 Nicholson Street. And aside from what's already been said, the other concern is fireworks. Now, I understand the 4th of July. People want to have fun with the fireworks. But on Buell, and again, when I'm on 309, so I look east. And I can see right behind Dan's house, all right, I can see the mortars going up, all right? These aren't just, you know, Roman candles or something like this. These are either like 1 or 2 inch mortars. And they're making a big boom. And they're not just making a big boom on the 3rd or the 4th. The fireworks were going off a month ahead of time, all right? And it's been like this for a while. And yes, we call the police, and yes, they do come out. But it's very difficult, of course, because, you know, people who are doing this, they'll come out, they'll light one off, and then they'll go hide. So it's just kind of difficult, you know, for us to be able to deal with this. You know, part of our concern is, of course, you know, you're sitting there, you're sitting in your backyard, and it's like, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden this big explosion goes off. And you're like, well, what's going on, you know? And it happens again. It doesn't happen every day, but it happens frequently enough for us to talk about it, all right? So our concern, of course, is, you know, the neighborhood in general with things that have already been mentioned and being able to differentiate fireworks from gunshots, which of course we shouldn't have to do, but we do. But also, you know, what can be done about it, again, with the police presence. And again, you know, I've called the police and they come out and they're very good about it, and I appreciate that. That's a very nice thing. I don't know, you know, after that, what can be done. If something can be done, but I just wanted to let you guys know about it. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Next is mayor and council comments.
Joe.
Yeah, Mayor, I thank all the 4 gentlemen here that spoke, and it infuriates me to hear that. I know it's been going on. Jan and I have gotten a lot of calls on it, and we are working on some things with the police chief. So yeah, we are working on some things, and I can tell you how we got here. You know, I was hired in '93, and I was with a group of about 50, and we just didn't replace the people that we knew were gonna retire. And it's not Don Malik, the chief's fault. It lies heavily on the past, and we're gonna do everything we can to hire as many as we can, as fast as we can. It's just, unfortunately, the academies only take so many people. So we're going to continue to work on that. Also, I had the privilege, it was a great tour at the Rialto a couple weeks ago. Val Devine, I want to thank her for taking her time and showing me around. And then also, Greg Ruddy, thank you for getting on the problem, Newton, Cornelius, and Sherry. It's a flooding problem over there, and I'd like to see this council work on it in the near future. It affects about 40 to 50 homes, and it's been going on. We annexed that property years ago, 20 years ago, and it's just a flooding issue over there. So maybe in the near future, we can start working on that. So, but thank you.
Yana, thank you. First, I'd like to say happy birthday to our clerk, Krista. Is that 16?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go with that. So happy birthday, Krista. You're a hardworking lady that keeps us on point. The next thing I'd like to thank Lori and By Park. They invited me over last week to MC the music concert on the Hill. Had a great time. Had a great crowd that was out there as well. So supporting By Park, and it was just amazing to see people come out, no face mask. We were relaxed and having a great time. So check your calendars for the free concerts on the Hill. And thanks again, Lori and the By Park staff.
Caesar?
You know, and I feel for you folks, certainly especially on the drive-bys, and even by the fireworks, because that's citywide. And I'm confident this council will support staff, particularly Chief Malik and her department, in doing what we can. And you were very rational, sir, to say if there's something we can do, right? It kind of is disappointing, though, with the recent crime bill in Springfield, tying our officers' hands further and doing things such as no cash bail. So we're going to fight it here as a city to keep this city what attracted you, sir, and your wife to come here. I just would like to acknowledge that it's tough to take the arrows from the bad guys, but then take the arrows in your back from Springfield, and that's what we're up against. With that said, I hope everybody enjoyed their Independence Day, and we just remind everybody that with our independence came our freedoms, but at a very high cost. And so please, don't give up your freedoms easily. Don't give up your freedoms at all.
Terry?
I'd like to thank everyone who came last week for our special meeting with the American Relief Fund, and we're all looking hard at it, and you'll be hearing from us as a council.
Jim?
Well, I have to weigh in on this firework thing. I mean, this was the worst it has ever been. And it was not firecrackers or M80s. It was dynamite and I don't know what, because I can't tell you the amount of phone calls that I received. And I even called our police department at one point because it got really insane. And, you know, I realize there's nothing they can do, but just under the fact that maybe they might catch something. I mean, they have to be able to see the paraphernalia. They have to be able to see somebody in the act. I did get some calls, and I'm like, well, you need to call the non-emergency number so that we can, you know, keep track. Maybe it'll be coming from the same area. So it'd be a public nuisance. I don't know. I've never heard it like this. I mean, there's plenty of people that have PTSD that were suffering that night. Animals, our dog was just beside himself. I had to hold him all night to keep him from shaking, and at times that didn't help. But I mean, that's a dog, so you can imagine what it's doing to veterans. And my husband had a little hard time as well. He was a Vietnam veteran. So it did sound like a war zone all night, and it was just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what's wrong with people. It's just out of hand, and the shootings too. We're sitting on the front porch and we'll hear gunshots. And there was an area on Campbell Street that was resolved. There was people that lived there, and once they got rid of those folks, the shootings in that area stopped. But then there's another one over on further north on, or further west on Campbell, and now we have this Nicholson problem. And then there was a shooting down at Cuddy's, the grocery store. And between Joe and I, we've been inundated with phone calls in this particular area. So, you know, the police department comes to the neighborhood meetings and say, if you see something, say something. Just make the call. Just call. Don't call your council person. We have to generate those phone calls so that they can track, especially if you're hearing gunshots now. Fireworks, we're at a loss because the police department just can't do it. It's just people have no common sense. As far as a different subject, Waste Management had a very, very confusing, as our city manager knows, posting on when the garbage pickup was. And I had received several calls on that, and I ended up had to call city manager over the weekend because it said they would resume normal pickup after on the 4th of July, but that wasn't true at all. It was following day. So I would ask the city manager if he could call Waste Management and have them fix that website for people.
Right, and I'd like to remind anybody that if you're not sure, and if for whatever reason the website seems off, you can always call Waste Management. They have an automated system that you could use, and you put in your zip code, and it will tell you when your next garbage pickup will be.
But, there's a but to that, okay? So, you can put, if you're calling from your phone and you're at your zip code, that's fine. But I tried to call for this lady from my phone with her zip code, but because my phone didn't match her zip code, I got a click, and I had to start all over again. And they got another click, and so that doesn't always work. But it was too many prompts. But if they could just fix that, it's one little fix on the computer so that people will be able to get that fixed. I know that's minor compared to everything else, but try to be well and stay safe. Look out for your neighbors, guys, and we all have to be a little more patient and a little more kinder. That's all I have to say, Mayor.
Sherry?
Thank you.
I have a few things. Number one, thank you to Cornerstone. They had their first Juneteenth celebration on June 16th on the property off of McDonough. It's a beautiful day and it was a great celebration, so thank you, Cornerstone. Alianza had a lunch meetup on June 18th at El Primo and North Scott. It's good to see that organization back up and meeting again. Congratulations to Joliet Catholic Academy Soccer. They finished second place in state on June 21st. They had a celebration at Joliet Catholic. Great job. That was the girls soccer team. Great job. June 24th, the Harvey Brooks Foundation had an elected officials day where myself, Representative Natalie Manley, Representative Walsh, and Senator Connor were there to address the young people in the group. And it was a real good session, a lot of questions from the young people, intelligent questions. So thank you to the folks at Harvey Brooks. June 28th, I want to congratulate our new circuit judge here in Will County, Sherry Hale. She had her swearing-in ceremony on the 28th. And then June 30th, Joliet Police Department had their annual awards ceremony at Jacob Henry Mansion. Chief Malik, I know you were instrumental in putting that together. It was good work. Thank you. Very good celebration. Thank you to all the officers congratulations to the officers who got awards. And then finally, the fireworks on Sunday at Joliet Junior College. I've heard a lot of positive feedback. I was out at junior college. I'm sure there were some complaints. Going into it, I know I received a lot of complaints. Overall, I thought it went really well. I do want to thank the junior college. They stepped up. They had skin in the game along with the city and along with a lot of private donations. And their police department did an outstanding job working with our police. So thank you to them. And then finally, to my neighbors, I see a lot of you when I'm out walking. I think Councilman Clement hit on it. I think we're short. Well, I know we're short police officers. We're in the process of hiring. Some of it had to do with attrition. Some of it was a hiring freeze from the city during COVID a year ago. And then the academy shutting down for not allowing us to get officers through. So I think Officer Clement's right. That ultimately is the answer, getting enough people back on the street. But I also agree with Councilman Hugg, and this can't be understated. The war on police that's gone on in our country and in our state the last year is going to have a toll. You're going to see it in your neighborhoods. If there's a proposal now to get rid of qualified immunity, which will effectively mean you're not going to have police protection anymore. So if you're concerned about it and you have a right to be concerned, thank you for coming to our meeting. Please call your state senators and your state representatives. 2 of them voted yes on this, and tell them what they're doing to your neighborhood and your community, and urge them to repeal some of the legislation they just put through. It's going to be a nightmare, not just for Joliet, but for a lot of communities throughout the state. So again, we will do our part here at the city, and I know our police department will, but we need help, and certainly your voices should be heard in other forums, not just at a Joliet City Council meeting. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hugg?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried.